G'day guys, today we're going to be picking up where we left off last time and we're going to be vinyl wrapping the Corolla. Welcome to another episode of Dingle DIY. I'm Rob Dingle. Where we left it last time, I ran out of primer. Today I'm just going to sand back any paint runs, fill up any pinholes that the primer may have exposed. Then we're going to get some filler primer over the top, block it back until everything's perfectly smooth. Then we can get stuck into wet sanding with a really fine grit sandpaper to make everything kind of glossy. And once everything's glossy and glassy, we can stick the vinyl to it, and then we can get on with making it look good. So let's jump into it. We'll get some of this primer sanded back, get some blade putty happening, and then it's all smooth sailing from there. I've got about 3 coats of filler primer on here now. I've got enough paint to do 2 more coats, so for now I'm going to be blocking the paint. So I'm going to try explain blocking as quickly as I can. The paint you put on the car is just going to follow the shape of the car. Now we want to use like a flat block and some relatively rough sandpaper so that it cuts through any high spots, and then hopefully there's enough paint on the car that we can sand down the high spots all the way so that there are no high spots and there are no low spots. Once I've finished with the primer, I use a different color paint just to like gently fog over the top, and those 2 contrasting colors are going to expose any low spots. So if we're sanding for a while and then we sand all the way down to the paint or sand all the way down to the filler, I mean like the body filler and the original paint, and we've still got that foggy paint on top of the primer showing in some low spots, then we know that that area needs more filling. So with that knowledge under your belt, we'll get stuck into blocking, expose the low spots if there are any, and then we can go about fixing those low spots. Alright, I've got my little rubber block here. Now we want some wet and dry sandpaper. This is 120. And then we want to move diagonally and lengthways at the same time. And then we can do the opposite diagonal. And we just follow that process until we've gotten rid of all this black foggy paint, and hopefully by that stage there's no high spots or low spots. Alright, all the dark spots are basically low spots, so we can see these patterns here were left behind from the orbital sander. Those are some deep scratches from 40 grit. Yeah, we're going to fill those up. And some low spots over here. I got a lot of sanding ahead of me, a lot of blocking and a lot more priming and filling to do. I'm sure you've seen enough of that by now, so I'll check back in once the car's absolutely perfect and smooth and good enough to my standard that we can vinyl wrap it. So through the magic of YouTube, we'll just jump to me beginning the vinyl wrap. Alright, I know I said I was going to be vinyl wrapping when I check back in, but I forgot I had to paint the bottom of the boot because it's bright white. So that'll get painted black. The underside of the hood will get painted black right there. And the strut brace is going to get painted black. Now I've wet sanded the primer 400 grit. And before I go any further with 600 and 1200, I just want to make sure there's no overspray floating around. And if there is, when I paint these things, then it's just going to get sanded off. And then I can vinyl wrap the doors first, which will let me put all the windows back in and then put the seals back in and roll the windows up, which means I can move the car in and out of the garage, which was going to be pretty helpful. So with that being said, let's get into some more painting. Finally, we are ready to start vinyl wrapping now. You can trust me on that this time because I've already done the window frames and I've got the windows back in. So that's one step closer to getting this car waterproof at least, in case I need to just roll it in and out of the garage to do other things. Now this piece of glass here obviously doesn't roll down, so it's a bit tricky to get out. And these rubber seals flash over the vinyl, so that'll help secure it and we don't have to cut any vinyl along this edge and have it peel away later. Now the approach I want to take with this is starting from the bottom up, unless it's its own panel. So if I have to cut any strips of vinyl because it's too tricky to do in one piece, for example the roof and the A and B pillars, I'm not going to be able to do those in one hit because the sheet just isn't big enough. But we'll do the pillars first. We'll do the quarter panels first. So the lowest part of the car gets done first and we work our way up. That way the sheets of vinyl flash over the top of each other. So instead of encouraging water into the join, it encourages water away from it. So I've already got an example of that on the doors. So this piece of vinyl here and this piece are two separate pieces and there's a very subtle join in them. Now obviously one piece sits on top of the other. That way any water running down is going to just run over this join and just keep going, as opposed to the other way where the water would run down and hit like a hard edge and it would try to work its way underneath the vinyl, which we don't want. So that's the concept I'm going for here. I'll get the doors done. They're their own panel. I don't have to worry about any flashing happening there. I can just do them, put the door handles in. Then I start with the lowest panels. So the rear quarter, work my way up to the pillars and then to the roof sheet. For me, it's just about getting the car waterproof, which means starting with the doors, the quarter panels and the boot. I've already wet sanded the car with 400 grit, so now that the painting is done on the underside of the boot and the bonnet and the strut brace, there's going to be no more overspray. So now I can hit it with a 600, get things smooth, get the overspray off, and then I'll hit it with a 1200 to get it really smooth, and then the vinyl will stick best to that. And then I'm going to explain to you guys how to use vinyl and how to vinyl wrap, which is a bit of a skill, but practice makes perfect. That's all I can say. So I'll show you that in a sec. Alright, that was a quick second. Now I have finished sanding the car. I've washed it just with water and a rag, and I'm going to clean the panels again just before I wrap them. The difference between a good and a bad vinyl wrap is when you get air bubbles and dust and hairs and things like that stuck under the vinyl. It shows through the vinyl, which sucks. There are some vinyls out there that have technology in the glue, but it's basically just these ridges in the glue. And those ridges allow for the air to be trapped but not seen. There's room for the air in that vinyl. This is the cheapest vinyl I could find. Trust me, I know. So it's going to make things a lot harder, but I mean that's what you get when you pay next to nothing for your vinyl. So what you're going to want is a sharp razor blade. So I've got some razor blades in here and a scalpel. If you buy the vinyl, you'll get a squeegee with it. Usually has some felt along this rubber edge, but mine fell off. So I've just got a rag here which I've cut up, and I can use an elastic band and hold that on, and we can squeegee all the air out of the vinyl. Now I've also got some little magnets here wrapped in masking tape so I don't scratch anything. They'll just help hold the paper out of the way and help hold the vinyl in position if I need to. You'll also need a heat gun and some good lighting, which I've got right here, and now we will get stuck into it. Alright, I've just got some isopropyl alcohol here, and I'm going to put that in a spray bottle. And you want brand new rags when you're cleaning things off, so we'll clean this with the alcohol and the water mixture. There's only a little bit of water in here just to help thin it out. Clean the whole panel, clean the edges as well so that we can wrap over the edges. And then we start from the top and work our way down. For me, because this panel's only got detail in one plane, it's going to be pretty easy to work from the top down. Whereas if you had like a dome, sort of a shape, kind of like the roof. Things get a bit trickier when you're dealing with curves in two different directions. But with this panel, we can just curve the whole way down and it'll be fine. Sometimes on bigger sheets like a bonnet, there might only be one curve in it, but because it's such a large panel, you might want to cut the backing in half, and then you can start from the halfway point and work towards the edges and push the air out that way. So we'll clean this down and then we'll get it started, and you can come along with me as I try to explain how to do it. Alright, we've got our surface prepared. Avoid touching it with your bare hands. I'd be wearing gloves if I had any, but I've run out. Once you got your sheet of vinyl cut to size, give it a quick clean. You want everything as clean as possible, and then we can peel off just the top edge of the backing and then stick it along the top and work our way down. Alright, now as you can see, the sheet is way oversized. That's good. We want to cut away the excess at the end. Now we can creep under the sheet and then pull the backing out at the same time as we squeegee. Alright, so we've got our first crease here. Now, these things happen. What you can do is just pull the sheet back up, but there's going to be a bit of a fold in the vinyl no matter what, so you can use the heat gun to kind of reset that fold. It'll stretch a little bit and it'll pull that crease out, and then we can try again and hopefully lay it down perfect this time. Now that's the crease I'm talking about. Right there. We've got to pull the sheet back up and try again. Now these little bubbles I'm not worried about is because I can pull the sheet from the top and stretch it that way. But the rest of it's looking good so far. Alright, that's the first panel done. It took me a little while, probably about an hour or 2 hours. I lost track of time. Now, I'm just going to be doing this one panel at a time, one day at a time. I'm in no rush to get all this done, especially with vinyl wrap. You know, you just want to take your time with it. Now, I'm not a professional, so it is going to take me a little while, but grab yourself a drink and sit back and enjoy some time lapses. Alright, I had to move on to some other projects while I waited for more vinyl to turn up because I made too many mistakes and I ran out. So now I'm up to the roof sheet. The vinyl looks the same. It apparently has that, you know, air release technology, but it looks exactly the same as the old stuff. So who knows? It was still cheap and it was still from eBay. So yeah, it's probably still the crap stuff. Now with this being the biggest sheet, I'm going to cut the backing down the middle. Then I can stick the middle of the sheet in and then pull it towards both sides of the car, one side at a time. It's really going to make my life a lot easier. Just from experience, I know that starting from one edge on a roof is going to be a nightmare, so I'll do that with the roof. I might do it with the bonnet, but then I've got the quarter panels to do, and then I can put the car back together. I noticed the windshield was leaking, so I've got to reseal that once I vinyl wrap in behind the trim. So not long to go now. I'll keep pushing through. Alright, I'm so stoked. I can't believe how well that went on. The new vinyl does have that air technology crap in it, whatever it is, it works. I'm so stoked. This roof was by far the best panel I've done, and it was easily the most complex, so credit to the vinyl. There's a lesson there to be learned. If you spend a bit more on the nicer stuff, it'll go a long way to getting a good result. This new vinyl is way better. So I'm stoked. Everything's so much easier than it used to be. And we're going to just have a blast getting the rest of this on. So the roof's perfect. I'm happy with that. It's time for the bonnet. Alright, there it is, the end result of the vinyl wrap. Now that took me a fair while, and this is as far as I can get with the car for now. I'm still in lockdown, so I can't go further than 5Ks from my house. When I am allowed to leave, I'll go get all the required paperwork, get it registered, which I won't show. And the next time you see this car, it'll be registered, which means I'll be lowering it, putting the wheels on it, changing the steering wheel, changing the seats, doing all the dumb illegal shit that they don't like seeing when you go take a car to Vic Roads or something to get it registered. So that's it for now. It's been a bit of a journey. I'm pretty stoked with how it's turned out. As always, like and subscribe. If you do subscribe, you'll be updated as to when the next episode comes out. Even though I am doing weekly videos, they're not all about this car. Some of them are about household DIY and things like that. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. G'day guys, we're gonna be, all of your, what the fuck? The masses amounts. So sit back and enjoy, So sit back and enjoy the fucking time lapses. Just watch them. What do I want to say? The rear quarter, work my way up to the pillars.